Okay, so we started to look at univariate data, and the first thing we were looking at was to describe what type of data we have. So once we have the data, so because it's univariate, we're going to have one list of data, so a list of something. And so a good way to display things is in a frequency table, and so that's what we're going to do now. We're going to look at frequency tables and then how we could display that information. So when you are recording a frequency is counting up the number of times something occurred. So say I was looking at seeing, we collected what type of pet you had, and then we would collect soon, and I might count up the number of people who had a cat, people who had a dog, etc. Now, we can also have number, or I might convert it to a percentage. And when we convert it to a percentage, we can follow this. So the number of times it occurred, so if we were talking about, say, those animals, I'd say the number of times someone had a cat over the total number of pets in, say, the class or in the list. So, and then you times by 100 to get a percentage. So this one here, this is, you might write, is the total list number. That might help you. And we often refer to it as N. So the N equals the total amount of data. Okay, that's another way of explaining it. All right, so that's how we're going to find a percentage if we want to convert them. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got an example of a set of data. So a group of 11 preschool children were asked to choose between chocolate and vanilla ice cream. So then they've recorded the details, and it says construct a frequency table. So we might just have where we collect the number. Sometimes you may have an extra column where it's the tally. And that's when you're crossing it off, you might be just crossing off what you've got. But let's go through it. Let's go through this. So if I just do the chocolate, I go cut through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there was 6 chocolate. And then if you look at what's left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vanilla. So a good thing to double check, we got 6 plus 5, that's 11. That's good, they said that up there. So when we talked about N being the total number of data, in this example, N equaled 11. So we had 11. So when we're calculating the percentage for this, so we're going to do the amount it was out of the total. Out of the total times 100. So I'm just showing you how to work it out there. So we can do that, and you can do all of that on your calculators. And we'll get, what does that one equal? I'm going to guess 55%. We're going to round. So then if you do the next one, 5 over 11 times 100, it's going to equal 45, because what should they both add up to?
100.
Yeah, awesome, 100. Okay, so we've got that there. So that's how we do that. Okay, so let's have a look at the next example. So obviously I find it's easier to cross them out as you go through. So I'm going to go through 25 students. So what you want to do, get in the habit of doing this, N equals 25, because often they give that to you in information, and that's important so that when you're trying to find the percentage, you don't have to actually count them all up, or when you get to your total, you should have 25 in total. So let's go through the walk. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 walk. And now do the car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 in the car. The bus next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8. And then there was one other. So hopefully when we add these up, we get a total of 25. So 4 plus 12 is 16, plus 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So that's good. Okay, so then we need to go and create the percentages. So the percentage would be 4 out of the total, which is 25, and then times 100, and we're going to get the percentage. All right, so once we've got all them, and what should our total percentages add up to? 100%. All right, awesome. So there's a frequency table, and that one's got also the percentages there. Okay, so now we're going to look at bar charts. So bar charts are a good way of displaying categorical data. So you might want to write this because next year you get asked a lot about that. So bar charts, good for displaying categorical data. So if you talk about the ones we sort of just did, when they chose chocolate or vanilla, what type of data was that? Categorical. And then what type of, what subcategory of categorical data was it? Nominal. Good. And then we had you walk, bus, or other to school or car. What type of data was that? It was categorical, and it was? No, it was nominal. So the car type, you know, whether you go car, bus, that was nominal. All right, so a frequency or percentage frequency is shown on the vertical axes of the bar chart. Okay, so we have, what we're going to do is, so when they're saying the frequency, it's on the vertical axis, that's here. So you're going to see the frequency along here. And this one is just a plain frequency graph that we're going to do. And we were looking at, and the variable is shown on the horizontal. So if we're looking at that example that we did, okay, so we're looking at this example when we're drawing this bar chart. So what they're saying on the horizontal or the x-axis, we are going to put our, display our variable. So down under here, I need to write travel mode because that's what we've put down along there, okay? And then what you do is you do a bar or a column up to the amount of frequency. So if you have a look, walk was 4, so you can see it's measured at 4, and the car was 12, so it's up there on the 12. That would be 12. And then if we, let's pop in the other one. So the bus is 8. So we would draw, you use a ruler and you create a column like that. So I'm popping in bus, gonna say that's 8. And then the last one was 1 other. So just popping that in there. That's like 1. Bit high, but anyway, and there's the other, that would be the missing one. So make sure, take a note that there are gaps in here, yeah? So you have gaps between, in a bar chart there are gaps. So there are gaps to separate the bars. So there's gaps there, so you can see that. And there is 1 bar for each category, which we can look. So what we also start to do is we look at the modal, we might look at the modal category, and that's the category that's the highest. So in this example, what's our modal category? Yeah, so just maybe you might write a little note there. Here's our modal category. So it's got the highest. Okay, so we could also get this given in a percentage frequency graph. So here, this is where we're going to do a percentage bar chart, okay, of our transportation mode. So I'm going to use the same data. Okay, so I'm using this data, but instead I'm going to use the percentages along here. Okay, so we're going to label this. This would be percentage frequency, just abbreviating frequency. We still pop in travel mode down here. And what we do is, instead of doing the count, we'll do the percentage. So walk is 16. So I'm just roughly doing it. So I'm going to say about here, 16%. So on your sack, you'll have a lot more lines in there, so you'll be able to grid it out. We're just explaining it, so we're being a bit rough. So anyway, 48% for car, so that would be up around there. So I'm putting a break in there. Bus was 8%, so it's like half of...
No, bus was 32.
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. Yep. Bus was 32. So we'll go up here somewhere. And then other was 4%, so it's going to be a really tiny one. Okay? So there's what a percentage would be, very similar. It should look the same sort of shape as your original one. So that one back on the other page. Okay, so once again, we should have the same modal category. So the mode or modal category is the most frequent. So here, that's our modal category.